Hello, everybody. Yes, we have returned home. You can see us and hear us, I trust. And we'll just wait a couple of seconds for a few other people that might be coming in late. And who would those be? We should have a lottery on the ones who come late. There's always the chronic ones. Of course, there may be a few people not here today because this is Father's Day, if I'm correct about it. I mean, we don't have fathers anymore, so we forget when these things happen. But anyways,
And we're not fathers.
and we are not fathers. No, no. Okay, so let's see who is here. And Cheryl is here, and Donna, and Jan, and Judy, Faith, Janice, Shelley Clark, Kathy, Marianne, Debbie, Sally, Mona, Janet. I think I said Janet, or did I? Derek is here, and M is here. Where did I go from there? Okay. Sue is here. 2 inches of rain today, she says. Yeah, we had enough rain when we were out on the east. Stephanie is here. Yay. Carrie is here. Kathy is here. Mary F. from Kansas. Okay, I'm not sure how to say your name, Mary F. That first part, whatever that is. Linda's here. Darvana Lee is here, which is Nicole. And Shannon is here, and Francis is here. So we've got everybody coming back on. Well, that's good to see all of you. Since we were away for 2 weeks, feels like an eternity. Lucy's here. Hi, Lucy. So I guess we can get started. Everybody seems to be seeing us and hearing us okay. So what have I been working on? The East Coast.
Hi, Brenda.
Oh, Brenda's here. Hi, Brenda. So yeah, obviously I wasn't working on anything. However, we went to the quilt show, as you well know, and well, I spent about $1,500 on things, and I've just been sorting it all out today. We are not going to be showing you everything that Walter and I bought at the quilt show today. That's going to come up on the Idiot Quilter this week. So teaser, if you want to see the haul, and it's a big haul, tune into Idiot Quilter on Tuesday once it's up, and we'll show you everything. Hi, Pamela. Hi, Andy. So anyways, I see a lot of you are talking about the weather in your area. Today here, it's very nice. In fact, it's 23. Yeah, we didn't have the greatest of weather on the East Coast. We had rain. It was cold. I packed 4 pairs of shorts, never wore them once. Yeah, I'm glad I packed my jeans, though, because those I was living in pretty much.
Well, you spent $5,400.
1,500.
Oh, 1,500.
You'll have to pardon Walter. He's deaf.
Yeah, I do. I've been having a problem with one of my ears. So
Yeah. Janet's here and Shelly's here. So yep, it was a big haul, and I just spent a couple of hours today getting it all organized, figuring out where things came from and everything like that. I said I wasn't going to do this, but I did it. I bought kits. I bought several kits, and so you'll see those on Idiot Quilter this week as well. In fact, I bought 3 kits from one spot, and they're all African fabrics, and now we're a little worried about the African fabrics since they have 2 sets of what you're supposed to wash them before you use them. And Walter, they included a set of instructions for washing them, and you're not supposed to put them in your dryer, and they might fray, and hang them to dry, and wash them separately, which I think means just wash them separately from your regular laundry. I can't see washing each half-meter piece that I got by themselves. So I don't know. I'm a little worried. I spent a lot of money at that booth. That was Meerkat. They're located here in Ontario in a place called Elmira, which is only about an hour and a half, 2 hours away from us. We've been to Elmira before, but never to this particular store. I don't think they existed the last time we were in Elmira, and that's quite a few years ago now. That was pre-pandemic. So
Stephanie must be Canadianized. She's quoting temperature and sunset.
Oh, she's talking about it in C now. Yeah, we rubbed off on her. Um, yeah, are you absolutely sure about that, Mary F? I thought she did wash her quilts first. Um, I don't know for sure. I really don't. Because I went to her site. Now, this was before I actually owned. I got some African fabrics from, that I'm still not sure are really African fabrics because I bought them on Amazon. And I thought at the time I went to her website and she said to pre-wash them, but I could be wrong about that. I'll have to check that out. But according to the company we bought them from, you're supposed to pre-wash them, hang them to dry.
Well, they've got a lot of starch and stuff in them.
They're very, very stiff.
They're very stiff. And they had a sample of unwashed and washed. And the washed one is much softer than the unwashed one.
Yeah.
So I don't see how you could possibly even use it if it was unwashed.
Yeah. They actually had at the booth, they showed what they were like after they'd been washed. There was a sample. They're very, very soft once they're washed. But anyways, I spent a lot of money in that booth because I bought 3 kits. Walter bought a kit. He bought a quilt kit as well. And Stephanie bought the same one as Walter did because they're going to kind of do it maybe together. So that'll be interesting. That may not get started for quite a while. I don't know what his plans are. I said I'd help with it.
We'll see.
It's not difficult, the pattern. It's mostly half square triangles. So, in fact, I think it's all half square triangles. So, once you learn how to make half square triangles, it's easy.
Hi, Colleen.
Well, Colleen's here. Hi, Colleen. Yeah. We're going to talk about Colleen in a moment. Yeah, your ears may be burning. Ennis is here. Yeah, Kathy and Derek, I intend to put color catchers in with them. I put color catchers in with anything that has to do with quilting. After I wash one of my quilts, or when I finish a quilt and I wash it, I put in a color catcher as well. It's just my habit. I put in a couple usually. Shelly says it's 81 degrees Fahrenheit there, hitting the pool this afternoon after everyone wakes up from naps. And Stephanie says that they're cardboard like right now. We will have to wash them first, I think. Yeah, they are the stiffest thing I've ever seen.
Scrunchion says
what?
Scrunchion has some look at Scrunchions, what she says.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, if you have that, yeah, that's the ones that we have from South Ave. Just wash them on delicate and then hang to dry. They will still be stiff. Okay, good to know. That's the company Meerkat Shaweshwash, however you say that. That's the name of the company they came from. Hi, Beverly. Just backing up here. Steffi says that, oh, I read that. Mary says I could be wrong, but she says they're stiff from when she sews them. Plus she sold take 5 kits of fabrics that haven't been washed. Plus she sold take 5 kits. Think you left out something. I think your keyboard misbehaved on you because I'm not really sure what you're saying there. Shelly says you have a serge or overlock to cut edges for washing. Makes a ton of difference with fraying fabrics like flat to dry. Yes, I have heard that about them as well, and I do have a serger. So I think what I'll do is I'll wash one of the 1/2 meter pieces that I got and see how that turns out before I do anything else more to them, and that may give me a good indication. Hi, Alexandria.
Yeah, we have a front load washer too, so
yeah,
it may change.
A little more gentle on the fabric. Will be fine. So, anyways, it's an experiment. We'll see. Colleen says, "Hello, Walter. What can you possibly say about me, Stephen? You two left us with cold rain. Please come back." Yeah, that's what I was saying about the weather. All the time we were down the East Coast, it was
actually it wasn't bad when we were in Charlottetown. I don't know what we call it.
I don't know why we say Charlottetown. We know what it's called. It's Charlottetown. But anyways, yeah, the weather there was probably about
one of the nicest
couple of days when we were there. So,
but obviously it's not now. So
no. So, anyways, I do have a list of things I need to do. I always do this when I'm on a trip. I'll start making lists of things I want to do when I get home. Will I get them all done? Probably not. I got to start today on it. but I do have to figure out what my next project will be, and I do have that quilt for my sister-in-law that I haven't quilted yet. The top's all finished. I showed it to you before we left on our holidays, but and I know what I want to quilt it with. I just got to get it on the thing. But I got some clean out to do. I got to do some purging in a few cupboards and shelves because I'm running out of space for my fabrics, and I got all these paints and everything left over from my crafting days, and I think I'm not using them. And they're not dried up. Some of them are absolutely brand new, never been opened. So if they're still okay, I'll donate them somewhere. Maybe I'll take them over to the elementary school, or they might be able to donate them to our local art gallery because I think they have a kids program, especially in the summer, something like that. I need shelf space. So, anyways, okay. Oh, Colleen says, oh no, I read that already. Okay, so that's what we've been up to. Oh, and you've seen these shirts before, but it was funny. Everywhere we went down the East Coast, and I was wearing one of Walter's shirts, people were coming up and saying, I love your shirt. And I says, well, meet my tailor right here. And they all said the same thing. Oh, do you have a shop? Can I order one? And I kept telling them, you can't afford them. And they were a little taken back when I'd say that, but we all know how much it would cost to make a shirt. These are custom. So, people aren't going to pay $150.
I wouldn't want to have to go into production to make them.
But he just glowed a little bit every time. He just sat there with a smile on his face. Oh,
I'm glad people appreciate the way.
Yeah.
Well, they all say that because they've never seen shirts like that.
This is true. Especially when I wore the weed shirt and the kitty shirt.
Yeah.
Anna's here. Hello, Anna. You're welcome, Anna. Oh, that's true, Shelley. Yep, senior living centers. Yep, that's an idea as well. We have several seniors community centers here in our area, so I didn't think of them. But yeah, I might be able to unload a few things there too. Derek says weather in Northern Ireland, England was insane last week. So hot, falling back to Scotland. We're all desperate for rain that's due to arrive soon. Water shortages, wildfires everywhere up here. Yeah, well, we had them too. I think the ones in Halifax are out in Nova Scotia.
When we were out in Halifax and in the East Coast, we didn't really run into too much smoke from the forest fires. Whereas back here, apparently it had gotten quite smoky from the forest fires.
Yeah,
that were in our area.
We missed all that.
We missed all that.
Although we saw yesterday when we were back in Ontario on our way home, there was an area that it kind of looked like it might have been smoke. It wasn't heavy, but there was definitely a haze. And don't think at 3:00 in the afternoon it was fog. So I don't know, but we didn't really smell anything. Mind you, we were hermetically
actually
sealed
when
in
I was
car.
out today, I saw in the distance it was still very hazy outside.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know, that could be humidity as well, so I don't know.
So I haven't checked to see what the status is of the wildfires across Canada, but pretty much every province, at one point anyways, had wildfires happening.
I think it's still bad in Alberta. I'm not sure.
And of course, Ron says it's because Walter is so dreamy. Yeah. So hi, Ron. So anyways, so what's coming up before we get into some other meaty things here? There is with Stephanie and Stephen, our usual Wednesday morning at 9:00 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The link will be in the show notes below. It is the regular link for those of you that may have copied it before, not using Stephanie's special one. That was just there last week because I wasn't here. So Stephanie can't use the link I set up because we have our own accounts and they don't allow you to share accounts with that. So that's this Wednesday. And yes, I'm having a pop-up sew day this coming Saturday. Link is in the show notes for this today. It'll be in the show notes for my blog and for the Idiot Quilter episode this week. So it'll all be there, and I will be sending it out as an email too for those of you that are on the list. And what else did I want to say about it? I'm really starting to think that maybe what I should do is combine my pop-up sew list and my craft and chat lists. There's a lot of overlap and duplication, and if I had one mailing list, it would make my life easier. I may do that down the road. It's not happening today. And also that would be where I would also, send out the link for Sew with Stephanie and Stephen every week as well. So if you want to be on that mailing list, then just drop me, and you're not already, then just drop me a line, email address in the show notes, and I can add you to that. I'll keep you up to date as to what I'm planning to do with that. I have a lot of things on my list to do. Okay. So yeah, this is this coming Saturday. Unfortunately, for those of you that are part of the Walter fan club, Walter will be at his own little sew day at the club with his sewing teacher. And originally, I was going to go to that because he said it was going to be on the 17th. Well, no, it's on the 24th. And I was going to go. And then he changed it to the 17th. And Walter and I said, well, that's the day we're coming home, so we won't be able to go. And then he changed it back to the 24th. Well, I'd already had turned around when he first changed it to the 17th. I thought it was a go, so that's why I put the date for the pop-up sew day. And to be honest, I'd rather do the pop-up sew day anyways, because
Get to be with your people.
I want to be with my people. Walter can be with his 3. And to be honest, there's nothing more boring than a garment sewer. Really.
Yeah, I know.
You know, they're sitting there making a dress or a shirt or some stupid thing. I don't know. It's not like us quilters, you know. I am being a little facetious. Oh, Walter, you goof, says Jan. How come you're goof?
I don't know.
It's just Jan. Whatever. I'm not saying I disagree with her. But okay, so the Quilt Show Hall. All right, let's get something up here on the screen. And that. Wait, that's not what I want to show you. Down here. Oh, I guess that is what I want to show you. Okay, so I'm going to take you through very quickly some things that we got. I did load up the right stuff, did I? I'm just checking here before I start. Oh, there's the picture I want right there. What was that a picture of?
That's the kit that I bought.
Oh, that's your kit. Oh, yeah, that's why I was going to show that first. Okay. This is the kit that Walter bought. This strippy HST quilt, and this is one of the ones made with African fabrics. However, you notice the white stuff? Tell them about the white stuff.
Yeah, well, originally they had a quilt hanging there, and they had a white background fabric in it. And so this was the kit associated with this pattern or whatever that they were offering for sale. And I had thought that, but it had sort of like this amber colored fabric with it and not white. So like Stephanie said to me, like I could just, you know, swap it out with white if I wanted to or something like that, if I didn't like the amber color. And I just assumed it was all African fabric. But I started looking at it closer today, and I was disappointed to realize that the amber colored fabric was, or off-white colored fabric, was actually just cotton muslin. It wasn't the African fabric in that color. And I felt that I was overcharged for the kit, because they charged me the same price per meter for the muslin as for the African material. So if you can see, the price up there is $133. Well, there's supposed to be 6 meters of fabric there, 4 meters of the African fabric, and 4 meters of the muslin. And they were charging for the African fabric $22 a meter. So 6 meters would add up to about $133 or $132 or something like that, at $22 a meter. And so I felt kind of
ripped off
that they had given me this muslin instead of the African fabric, because muslin, although this particular muslin is actually a very good quality muslin, it's usually not that expensive to buy. So that kind of annoyed me. That's like they were kind of like, I mean, it does say in the instructions that it's got muslin in there and stuff like that. I should have looked at it more carefully when I bought it, or at least I could have made a decision at that point in time whether I really wanted it or not.
Yeah.
So.
Because you're not happy with the color of it either.
No, I prefer with that fabric that it came with, white for it to be white. So the background.
And this is sort of an off-white, almost beigey, light
Yeah,
beige.
well, actually, that actually is the standard color for unbleached muslin.
So I don't know. Now we're a little concerned. I spent a lot of money in their booth, probably about $300.
Now the stuff that you seem to have bought does seem to be all African fabric.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's not using that as a background. So, yeah, so maybe okay. But I'm a little worried about this whole washing process and whatnot. So, believe me, if I'm not happy with this when I start working with it, they will be getting an email. There's no two ways about it. I did talk to the two people running that booth as well. They were very nice. But then who's not going to be nice when they're selling you things, kind of a thing. But we'll see. Maybe we're worried about nothing with that. So,
and I thought for me it was a simple pattern, and I thought, well, I wouldn't mind trying something a little different than doing shirts all the time. So
Stephanie and I will help him through it. It's only half square triangles, anyways. It'll be a breeze. Once you've made one half square triangle, it's fine. Okay, so that's what the haul looks like. Okay, that's all piled up. I was sorting through that. That's about $1,500 worth of stuff. Does it look like a lot for $1,500? Well, I've got some bundles in there and fabric and kits. Kits are not cheap. So let's take it apart piece by piece, shall we? But before we do that, you know that we had a meet and greet, and of course Stephanie was at the show, and we had a great time with Stephanie. And Stephanie gave us both a quilt, and this is one of the quilts. I haven't decided where they're going to go yet, because they are going to go somewhere. I mean, I'm not just going to throw them in a corner because they're beautiful. And I like both quilts. This one appeals to my, multicolor, bright and bold kind of a thing. It's gorgeous. And here, I don't know if you can see, you can't really see the quilting on the back, but you can see it on the front. It's beautiful. Very beautiful.
It's super nice.
Yep. And the other quilt is this one. And of course, I love blues. And of course, Stephanie loves blues too. So same design, but totally different colorway. Again, you can really see the quilting on this one. It's gorgeous. That's the backing too. So they are both very, very nice quilts, and they deserve a prominent place in my house, and I will find some place for those.
I can think of a place I want one of them.
Where?
In my bedroom, where the painting is. In behind.
In your bedroom. You mean your sewing room? Oh yeah, well that'd be good. You just have to decide which one you want to put there.
I already know which one I want.
Oh, which one do you want?
I want the one with the other colors in it.
Oh, good! Yay! I love them both. So
I like them both, but there's something about the other one that really appeals to me.
Well, this one really appeals to me because of the blues, of course. So they both appeal to me, but that was very generous of Stephanie. So we were not expecting this at all. But wait, there's more. So Stephanie gave me the easy sprayer with the Acorn Easy Sprayer, the electric one. I mean, oh my God. As we're speaking, it's charging up right now. I have not yet tried it because I'm reading the instructions, and it said to charge it first, and it takes 3 to 4 hours to charge it. So it's plugged in here, charging up, but it's got great reviews. Stephanie loves hers, and I'm going to love this because me and spray bottles, they always jam up on me. And so I'm really looking forward to using this one. Again, Stephanie, too much, Stephanie. And then just when you thought it was safe to go back in, now it's a little wrinkly because it was in a bag and I haven't ironed it out yet. But of course, I think Stephanie said she got this at So Yeah when she was there on the retreat they had. And it's got gnomes on it. And well, yeah, it's a panel. And that's going to be a lot of fun to work with as well. Can you see the projects are starting to line up? And she also gave me this because she knows how I like Halloween projects and things like that. So this also a very nice little throw as well. So got to get that done before Halloween as well. So Stephanie, we are not worthy. We are not worthy. But real surprise. But then there was more surprises because Cheryl was also there with us, Cheryl Curley, and Cheryl gave me this bundle of fabric, Hoffman Fat Quarters, and a pattern to go along with it. So, and they're of course in my color scheme. So this is going to be fun to do. So, not necessary, Cheryl. You shouldn't have, but we really appreciate it. It was so generous of you. And Stephanie gave Walter some glide threads. Wow, which I'll probably use, but I have it all. But really nice. Some neutrals in that. Who can't use those?
You can't miss it. Thread, it never comes amiss.
No, no, and it's not. It's the stuff we use, glide. So again, too much. And then Cheryl gave Walter this beautiful fabric,
and all the buttons.
And but they're antique buttons, as well. And Walter just about creamed his little shorts when he saw the buttons. He's a button boy. So that was really nice of Cheryl. Two very thoughtful gifts, and well, not necessary, but what can I say?
Necessary.
What can I say? I mean, it was just we're flabbergasted. Now then we were in Charlottetown and we met up with Colleen. Everybody knows Colleen. She's a regular here, and Colleen gave me the mug rug, which is actually, it's not a mug rug as much. You could put hot things on it because she has Insulbright in it as well. Very colorful, very pretty, very nice. I really like that. I will use that for sure. And she gave Walter this Australian fabric.
Yeah, it's really nice.
And with the idea to make a shirt out of it. And might have to supplement it with a little
bit
more.
That might not be enough to make a shirt. I'll have to check it out. I haven't checked it out yet. And so there's lots of colors in there that I can supplement it with.
And I have a lot of Australian fabric in my stash too that you could probably use with it as well. So very, very generous. And Colleen took us out for a lobster dinner. We had lobster rolls at a really nice restaurant. It was a lot of fun. Not only that, Colleen was our personal historian and guide to Charlottetown. And she told us stuff we would have never, ever known about in Charlottetown. If she hadn't told us, it was extremely interesting, to say the least.
It was a highlight, just meeting Colleen.
Yeah, it was. We just loved it. And you saw in the videos, of course, because I videotaped all of that, or video recorded it. Old term, tape. We don't use tapes anymore. And Colleen took us to a quilt store called Quilting Bee and More. And you probably saw the quick little interview I did with the owner. And then I went around, did some shots of the store, and also talked to the owner's daughter who works there about things. Lovely, lovely people. Mom and pop store. They've had it for 31 years. I bought a few things there. You'll see it in a moment. But I mean, what can I say? Colleen made us feel so welcome. And it was she's just a generous person because she also gave me this. Now, I'm not going to show you what's in the box, but I know you can guess. Colleen gave me a featherweight. I have peeked at it. Walter and I are going to talk about this on So Chatty this Friday coming up. So you'll get to see it then, and we'll check it out to see if it runs and everything like that. But I did peek at it, and it is gorgeous. It is absolutely gorgeous. And okay, full disclosure, I did take it out of the box and I looked at the serial number, and I went to the featherweight store site and I plugged in the serial number and found out this particular machine was made in Scotland, 1950, and there were 10,000 of them made. So this was way too much. Way too much. I mean, I don't know how to express my gratitude, or our gratitude for Colleen, for not just the gifts she gave us, but for taking the time to take us around Charlottetown, took us out for dinner. It was wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. We love you, Colleen. So, yeah, I can't say any more without gushing. And this little guy, I'd show him, you know, or you may or may not know that we have a set of miniature houses that sit, everybody thinks it's our Christmas village, but it's not actually. It's up all year round. It does have Christmas elements in it, but every place that we travel in the world, we try to get some small item to remind us of where we were. And I didn't have anything for the East Coast, and I still don't have anything for the East Coast. This is actually for Quebec, because we went to the Citadel, the fort in Quebec City. And I saw this little guy, and I thought it said Citadel on it, and I like things that have the name of where they came from on them. So I picked him up, and he's now sitting up amongst all the other little things that I have on that buffet. Maybe some people think it looks like a Christmas village because, well, I don't tend to dust it. So I just call that snow. It's sitting there. Occasionally I walk by and go, kind of a deal, and then it looks like a snowstorm. But yeah. So those were some of the things. However, I have not shown you everything that was in what we brought home. This big pile that I showed you near the beginning of this little segment we're talking about here. This. I will. On Idiot Quilter, I'm going to go through this. So tune in on Tuesday and you'll get a chance to hear about what I bought and where it came from, what the store was. That's one of the advantages of these quilt shows. You have all the vendors in one spot. So, speaking of the quilt show, you heard our reflections on that if you watched the videos. And if you want to see all the videos, I post one almost every day. There's a playlist now for all of them. And I've got the link for the playlist in the show notes below. So if you're interested, you want to check that out, go ahead. We give a fairly honest assessment of every place we were in. Well, when I say fairly, is we said exactly how we felt. And we're not always necessarily completely positive, okay? Not to offend people that live in that area. It has nothing to do with them. It has to do with the economic climate, the effects of COVID on the area, things like that. If you ever go down to the east coast of Canada, it is very beautiful. If you love nature and all that kind of stuff, you're going to love it. If you love food, go to Halifax.
And Charlottetown.
And Charlottetown was good for that too. The people are extremely nice everywhere we went, pretty much. We're not used to that. Where we live here in the Greater Toronto area, people tend to not say anything to you when you pass them on the street. People there in all the spots would say, good morning, hi. They didn't know us.
And you could be standing at the side of the street, and it's not even a crosswalk, and people would stop and let you cross.
Not here. They'd hit you. And they'd hit you once, and if it looked like you were trying to get up, they'd just back over you and then carry on. So, yeah, totally different climate from here in Ontario. And when I speak about Ontario, I mean the Greater Toronto area. If you go outside of the Greater Toronto area, you might find people tend to be a little more friendly there. But where we live,
people aren't courteous here at all. I started seeing it in the 80s when I was working in Toronto. It used to be people would hold the door open for you. I started working in Toronto in 1978, and in those days, people would actually hold the door open for other people. And by about mid-80s, people would just slam the door in front of your face. So nobody would help. Everybody else was, and that's the way it is now. Nobody holds the door open for anybody else. If it is, it's unusual.
Yeah.
So.
But the highlight of our whole trip had to be the Halifax Quilt Show, and it wasn't because of the quilt show itself. In fact, the quilt show wasn't that big, and there weren't all that many vendors there. We only had one other Canadian National Quilt Show to compare it to, and that's when we went to way before the pandemic in Ottawa. But I thought at that time there were more quilts and there were more vendors. Now, mind you, the venue that it was in Ottawa was much bigger than the venue that they had this one in. So maybe that had something to do with the number.
Also, the lady that we went and saw in Charlottetown, right? The quilting bee or whatever.
Oh, the quilting bee and more.
They were actually at the quilt show,
Yeah.
and they said that the last time the quilt show was in Halifax, that it was larger than it was this year, and it had more vendors.
Yeah. But anyways, it was still fun, but it was fun because we met up with Stephanie, and we just had a hoot with Stephanie, and Cheryl joined us too, and we were having a great time with those two ladies as well, and it was nice. And then the meet and greet, it was really nice that we met up with Ron and his wife, Joan. And I don't know, Ron, if Joan's listening to this right now or not, but my God, Joan's a party girl. She's she's a lot of fun.
It was nice to see everybody that we saw, the people that we saw that have been on our channel, and we saw a few other creators and stuff like that too. So that was interesting.
Well, we also met up with Judith Letson, and Judith Letson brought an entourage with her. I think there were 6 of them in total, counting Judith. And they all came to the meet and greet, and that was nice. And they brought one lady along too that I may need to contact for an interview, because she is a long armor and she has a YouTube channel. She doesn't have a lot of videos on it, but we got talking. She's also a Bernina ambassador, I think. So we saw her at the show as well. So I'll have to contact her. Her name was Robin, and I'm not sure how to say her last name. It was like Beauregard. Not Beauregard. It was something, and I'm sorry if she happens to see this, but we'll make sure we correct that, okay, when I contact her for an interview. But also I said Ron and Joan, Cheryl, of course, Stephanie. Lydia, yes, let's not forget Lydia. Lydia and her husband were there, and it was nice to meet them as well. They were actually staying at a cottage, I think it's Friend's Cottage, that was about 45 minutes away from Halifax or something like that. But they left, I think, on the Sunday or the Saturday. And they drove it, I think, straight through, like about 12 to 14 hours to get home. But it was nice to see them too. So we had a good time at that meet and greet. It was lots of fun. And it was, as I said, it was nice to meet up with everybody. Somebody else that gave us a little gift that we met up with, not at the meet and greet, but when we got to St. John, is Heidi. Heidi brought us some very good cookies and some homemade wild strawberry jam as well. I haven't tried that yet, but we will. And it was nice we went out for a drink with Heidi. And that was a lot of fun too.
It was nice to see her.
Yeah, she recommended a couple of restaurants to us, and one of them was an Indian restaurant. We did Indian when we were in Halifax, because Stephanie loves Indian, and so does Walter and I. And Cheryl is an Indian virgin for the food. She had never had it before, and she doesn't like hot things. So I still think it might have been a little too hot for Cheryl as well, but that's okay. She's a sport to give it a try, because Indian food is not the most enticing when you see it. No. Quite frankly, it looks like slop. But it's delicious. And the place we went to must have been good. Well, it had a good rating, but there were Indian people eating there too, so And
it was very good.
Yeah, it was good. So Heidi recommended a place in St. John called
Sandy.
It was good.
But it was kind of a different restaurant, because it was more like a fusion restaurant. It had a section of Indian food on there, but they also you could get steaks there. You could get some Asian food. You get some there. Asian. So the food was good, but it wasn't, to me, as authentic as real Indian food.
And it was a little more pricey.
It was more pricey. The food was okay, but it wasn't as good as the stuff that we had with Stephanie.
No. So, but yeah, so we had that, and so Heidi had recommended that place. Thank you, Heidi, for that recommendation. I don't know if she's on here today. I don't think she is.
I don't know if it was really any more expensive than regular Indian because normally when you order Indian, you order the dish, whatever the curry is, and then you separately order bread and you separately order rice. Whereas this tandy all came as a meal, as with rice
Yeah,
and bread together. So
but yeah, but that was nice there too, for that. So every place had its interesting things to see, and uh, yeah, we enjoyed the trip, but we were ready to come home.
yeah, we actually we could have, unfortunately, we could have bypassed St. John
Yeah,
because there wasn't a whole lot to do there, and for us anyway, unless you wanted to hike in the woods in the rain, and
and we don't hike,
and
rain or no rain.
so it was a little bit, but we were at the tail end of the trip and we were getting tired anyway, and so it was kind of a rest up for when we had to do the big drive home. So
Yeah. So, anyways, though, it was a good trip, and I spent part of the day today paying all the bills for it as well. Because, travel isn't cheap, especially gas. I'm not sure what it came out to, how much we spent on gas.
well, we had various spots for gas. I guess it ranged from about 1 $1.75 or so to
Yeah.
$1.60 or whatever. I bought gas today. It was $1.57
Oh,
here,
geez,
which is
pardon.
cheap.
Yeah. There. But we saw a
And
lot.
if anybody wants to know in Canadian dollars what it is, multiply $1.75 by 4, and you get a U.S. gallon.
Yeah, approximately a US gallon
Approximately.
on it. But anyways, yeah. So the one thing that got us a little pissed off though was in the quilt show there was one individual, I won't say his name, yes I will, Peter Byrne, who took 3 prizes, first, second, and third, and I think all in the same category. And how do you put it mildly? He's an arrogant asshole. He stood there all day long in front of his quilts and going, "See me, see mine," and he's taken thousands of pictures of them. And he was playing celebrity. And if people didn't know who he was, he certainly introduced himself very quickly and let them know that he was a prize-winning quilter. And he even mean-mouthed some of the other quilts that were in the show as well, which, not nice. He didn't know if those people were standing there or not, but that's not the point. He was cutting them up. You might want to cut them up, but do it privately and behind their back. So, not in front. I think really that reflects upon the kind of person that he is, and I am not impressed with him at all. And he's got one quilt that was, I think, his first quilt that he won a major prize on, and it was there as an exhibit. Not
And apparently one of the quilts, I happened to look up was it QuiltCon?
Mm-hmm.
I looked up QuiltCon this year, and one of the quilts that won an award, or won an award at the Halifax one, also won at QuiltCon.
Yeah. And to be honest, there were quilts there that were as good as, if not better, in my opinion, than what he had done. That showed a lot of skill, a lot of work. They were beautiful. I mean, the one quilt that he got first prize for basically was a scrap quilt, is what it looked like. And he did straight line quilting because that is his trademark, his signature. And yeah,
I mean, it was a nice quilt, but it was.
No, it wasn't. I thought it was. I didn't like it
I
at
don't know.
all.
I thought it was okay, but it was not. I thought I saw other quilts that I liked much better than that.
Well, I thought their one's far superior because basically, if you're familiar with Terry Rowland and the way she does those squares using scraps, he did something very similar. The only difference was she puts hers kind of in straight rows and columns. He positioned his so they were sort of staggered around on it. But come on. If you saw, well, you did see them if you saw the video, because I pretty much had a picture of almost every quilt that was there. And there were some absolute beauties. that took people a long, long time of careful thought and skill to put together got nothing. And you know, it makes me really question how these things are in reality really quilted. And I wouldn't doubt that he lobbies the judges in one form or another. I don't know, but if I
It
had,
just seems weird
yeah,
that that uh, that all these quilts won awards. I don't know,
and I
but
think
like I mean, we're not judges. We don't know.
no, we're not judges. We don't know, but I mean, if he wasn't so arrogant about it, he has a Facebook page. He had all kinds of people. He immediately announced on the Facebook page that he had taken the 3 top prizes and all this kind of
The
stuff.
first time in history.
First time in
quilt
history in a quilt show.
in Quilt Canada.
Yeah, yeah, and all this kind of stuff. And people are going, congrats, congrats, that's great. Oh, Peter, and all this kind of stuff. Sorry. Maybe it sounds like I'm jealous. Well, I didn't have a quilt in the show, so I'm not jealous about it. But if he'd been a little more humble, I think that would go a long way. You know? Oh shucks, no, kind of a thing. So I don't know. That really pissed me off. That
Can
did.
you show the stuff?
Yeah, I'm going. So let's see what everybody's saying now.
I don't know if that's up to date or what.
Well, I pull it.
Got tons of stuff coming up.
Yeah,
here.
I know it's there. See the little arrow?
Okay.
Oh, jeez, amateur. Okay. What are you two drinking? Beer.
Yeah, mine's a Kilkenny and Steve's is a Guinness.
Yeah. Kathy says 4 meters of muslin and 4 meters of African fabric. Isn't that 8 meters?
No. It's 2 meters of muslin and 4 meters of African fabric.
Okay, but I think you did say it was 4 meters of muslin. So, yeah. Well, thank you, Kathy, for correcting Walter's math. Debbie says use that muslin for bag lining and buy the white fabric you do like, Walter. Just a thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do that. Shelley says they're so beautiful. Yes. Stephanie's quilts, definitely so. Lovely gifts, they are. Derek says just shows you how different a quilt can look in 2 colorways. They're beautiful quilts. Yeah. And Wendy says, hello guys, glad you're home, love your videos. And Wendy says, oh hi Wendy, red lips. Nancy's here too. I don't know if I said hello to Nancy, but I am now. Dara, I don't think I said hello to Dara. Have you checked out Celeste Campion online to see how she put together the African pattern and used the muslin? Nope, not yet. But we will eventually, maybe. Oh yeah, Stephanie had another gift for Walter too, which was Walter had been talking about possibly doing some paper piecing. And Stephanie put a little kit together for him for this, and well, we'll get it at when we go to the retreat. So no big deal. But it was a thoughtful idea. Derek says there are some genuinely lovely and generous people in this community. Well, there are as quilters, yes. Yes, Nancy, that quilt store was a great quilt store. They don't have a lot of quilt stores in the East Coast. That one I think might be, I might be wrong, Colleen can correct me about it, but I think that might be the only quilt store. Well, it's the only quilt store in Charlottetown, I'm pretty sure of it, and I'm not sure what else is in PEI for that. Hi, Kathy Patterson. Nancy says her Singer Featherweight is the case just like that, so possibly from the same era. Shelley says most places here offer a meal or a la carte, so 2 prices shown for each entree. I guess you're talking about Indian. Yeah, that's how we are used to it. You buy it you get it by the dish, but it was like you ordered a dish, but it also came with the rice and it came with papadam and naan.
Actually, it was kind of weird at this restaurant because they showed the dish, but they didn't say that it came with rice, and it didn't say it came with bread. I had to ask about that.
Yeah. Hi, Catherine. Oh, Heidi is here. There's Heidi. Sarah says, word is spreading fast about the 3-time award winner. Can't think he'll have many nice friends left. I saw his grid pattern quilt in a Toronto quilt show last fall. Yeah, he has one quilt that his first one he made won a major prize for, and he's been flaunting that ever since. Now it wasn't entered into the competition to be judged, but he was a guest, I guess a guest exhibitor, and I overheard some of the things he was talking about, and he's just very arrogant, and that I think turns me off more than anything. I mean, I can accept the fact that he won those prize on those quilts because I'm not a judge, so I'm not sure how to judge them. But being humble, as I said, would go a long way, I think. Yeah, for sure, Debbie. Yeah, that's what I thought. That you only had one quilt per category, but guess not at this one. I don't know. M says, I just went to 7-Eleven. I felt I missed the juicy part. Well, you probably did. Watch the replay. um, yeah, that's the way I look at it, Andy. The higher he flies, the further he'll fall. Hubris, pride before a fall, kind of a thing. But anyways, we'll get off that one. So we had a lot of comments and people were questioning us along the way, from the videos that we put up about the trip, and I thought we'd talk briefly about how we plan a trip, because I don't know if it's because the people who ask certain questions or suggested things are people who don't travel much, or they've never really traveled in Canada or the East Coast. Um, we're talking when you travel in Canada and you travel by car, well, by any means, really. Distances are great. And even though the United States kind of understands distances and everything, our provinces, we only have 10 provinces. And our country is bigger than the United States in terms of land mass. Second largest country in the world. Russia is number one for land mass, okay? Not population. And by the way, Canada just went to 40 million, okay? That's a milestone, I guess. All the refugees we've been letting in for the last few years, I guess have really populated us more. But we're still small in population, but huge in land mass. When you drive to places in the United States, it's distances, but it doesn't seem as far because you're going in from one state to another state to another state. When you drive from Ontario to the East Coast, you have to go through the largest province in Canada, Quebec. Okay? And we went from pretty much one end of Quebec to the other end of Quebec. And you're going to wonder why I'm saying Quebec, because someone did ask this. Quebec is how it is said by the French Canadians, okay? Quebec, maybe the way you'll hear it pronounced outside of Ontario and Quebec, but it is actually pronounced as Quebec, okay? A little linguistic education there for you, only because somebody asked. It took us to get to Fredericton from Quebec. How many hours was it? Because we stopped in the old city, in Quebec, old city.
It was about
well, it was 8 hours to get to Quebec City.
About 14 hours to get
to. So it was about 14 hours.
And then another 4 hours to get to Halifax.
Yeah. So you're talking long distances here. So a few people asked, well, why didn't you stop here? Or why didn't you do this or that? Well, because we couldn't, for one thing. We were on a schedule.
Yeah, we were on a schedule. We had certain places we were stopping in. We didn't either drive near the place or we just weren't going to stop there. So,
yeah. So that's why. I mean, it may seem obvious to people that, you could stop at this place because it's so close. Yeah, on the map, the East Coast looks small. It's not small, okay? So, yeah, that's why we didn't get to some of those places. Somebody asked us, why didn't we go to the quilt store in Moncton? Okay, I don't know what quilt stores they're talking about. We were going to go to Moncton, but Walter changed the itinerary because you tell him why you changed the itinerary.
Well, we were in Fredericton first night. That was actually we drove to Quebec first, stayed 2 nights, then we drove to Fredericton and stayed a night. And my idea originally was that we were going to tour around the East Coast a little bit more, and I made a stop in Moncton, but it's only about an hour and a half drive from Moncton, from Fredericton to Moncton, and then continue on to Halifax and end up there on the June 8th. And I thought, well, we're going to be meeting Stephanie and everything else. Maybe it would be nice to arrive in Halifax a day early, or a day before the quilt show started, right? So I changed. I said, well, it's only an hour and a half to Moncton, so it only extends our drive to Halifax by an hour and a half. So
Yeah.
So that's what we did.
Yeah. So we skipped Moncton.
Yeah.
Um.
There's a whole lot to do in Moncton. Anyway,
No,
so
that's another reason why we skipped it. We figured, okay, is it really worth it? We can make the trip from Fredericton to Halifax, no problem. And that's what we did. So yeah, if there was a quilt store there that might have been worth seeing, well, we didn't, because we didn't stop in Moncton with it. So I don't know if this person actually, they never said what the name of the quilt store was and whether they've actually been to it or not. If they can tell me the name of it, I'll look it up online and see if they have an online presence and check it out that way for one of my reviews of online fabric stores or quilt stores.
But the reality is that there's only so many quilting fabrics that you can buy.
Yeah.
And the chance that a store will have something unique is pretty much slim.
And that's what I went in with the attitude of during the quilt show, was I wasn't going to buy anything that I could get at my local quilt store or readily available online. I wanted something different. And that's why when I saw the African fabrics, I went ape over them, because they aren't something I can readily get out here. I can't get them here at all, period. If I want them, I would have to order them online. And so there they were, all laid out in front of me, and the kits and everything, and I thought, this is my opportunity. And I did pick up a couple of things from the Art East company, which is the John and his other half are run that business, and everybody's apparently doing their kits. And I'll be honest, I appreciate their kits and what they're doing. He does things that are kind of like caricatures and things like that, and they're cute. But to be honest, it's not my style. But there was two that I saw that I really like. And those of you that know the Art East company, and I think is Dana on here, because Dana always does them as well, and so does Sean from the guy who quilts. One was Cat Scratch, and I just think it's hilarious because it's these comical cats and there's scratch marks down the from the top to the bottom of the quilt kind of a thing. And I thought that was fun, and they had that as a kit. I'm not thrilled with the colors that come in the kit. I'll probably stick to them though, because it is a kit. But I thought that was funny. And the other one was bunnies exploding or blowing up, something like that. And there's these comical little bunnies blowing bubbles, like chewing gum bubbles. And again, this is not usually part of my aesthetic, but I just thought it was fun. So I bought the pattern for that one. It didn't come in a kit. They didn't have it as a kit. But anyways, yeah. But those were things that I can't readily get in a store in our area. I'd have to order them online. And so I figured I'd take the chance right now when they're there in front of me. So that's what I did. Oh yeah, another thing about the quilt show before I forget is the celebrities, sort of. We ran into Laura Koya from So Very Easy and had a great conversation with her, and that's on. I videoed that as well.
What's interesting about that is Laura is a very petite lady.
Yeah.
And on her show, on her YouTube channel, she appears to me like she's bigger.
Yeah, she's taller.
Taller. Yeah.
Yeah, but she's not. She's short little thing. She made me feel tall, and I'm not tall. But it was nice talking to her as well, and talked to a few of the other store owners that were there, and I shamelessly plugged my YouTube channel for them. I gave out my business card for it, even though I'm not a business and stuff like that. But it was nice talking to those people, seeing them in real life. So yeah, so that was another good thing that came out of the quilt show as well. Let's just see what people are saying. backed it
Whereas
up.
now you're saying these small states, and everybody's picking on the large states.
Yeah, I know. Quebec sounds like Texas, big and very different. Yes. Well, that someone said it depends if you're in the east or the west of the U.S. Shelley says we have bigger states out west, not as big as Canadian provinces, but a good 2 days drive from North California to South Carolina, unless you're a glutton for punishment. Well, we were, and we have done it.
Carolina, North Carolina to South Carolina,
I thought that was California.
or maybe it's California. Yeah. Okay,
Shelley,
so-
are you talking Carolinas or are you talking California? We have not driven through the Carolinas, but we have
driven
from
we have
one
driven-
end of California to the other end of California.
Yes,
from
and
San
it does take a
Francisco to
long time.
San Diego. Yeah, and it does. It takes a long time. It's a huge state. And I imagine if we were to cross Texas too, that would take quite a while because it's a huge state as well. Janet says from my house in Texas to Houston is 11 hours. So, yeah, big state there. And Nancy says Q in French is pronounced K.
Yeah, it's sort of like driving from here to Halifax is about the same distance as driving from here to Florida.
Yeah.
So, and you pass through more states when you go
Yeah.
to Florida than we do provinces. So,
Bye, Sally. Andy says, I saw Jay Leno's segment and he asked people in California to name the state that was immediately north. Most people didn't know. Oh, well, so much for her knowledge of geography. Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Andy, because probably no fault of Americans, but Americans really that we've come across in the discussions really don't have a clue about Canada. And you know, we know when we go down to the States and you turn on the news and they have a map of North America, Canada and Mexico just don't exist. You know, you check the weather, at best, we're a big red blob.
yeah, we usually have to check buffalo weather to see what anything is.
Yeah. With it all, it's like, okay, don't know. But I dare say that probably many Canadians probably know more about American states than Americans know about Canadian provinces. And as I said, it's no fault of theirs. I mean, first of all, would you study in school? Probably not, because, you know, you're learning about your own country, right? We don't study American states and stuff extensively.
But it's usually in our news all the time. So,
But yeah, that's how we get our exposure, because unlike what American news does and makes us a big red blob, Canadian news actually shows a full map of the United States.
and actually, they
kind of
even
stuff.
weather forecast what's going on in the U.S.
Yeah.
So.
So yeah, so I get that. So I'm really not finding fault with Americans about it. It's just the way things are, right? Catherine says, let me pull this down so I can read it. When I went to Newfoundland, I got fabulous fabric. Well, we didn't go to Newfoundland, and we talked about it, but the problem with going to Newfoundland is you have to take a ferry, and the ferry
Is if you want to go to the more populous area of Newfoundland, the ferry is an overnight ferry. So, and the water is supposed to be pretty rough, and you have to book it. And that ferry only goes during certain months in the summer. Like it only goes from, I'm not sure, I can't remember exactly. It goes from like May till September, and it doesn't travel in the wintertime. So.
Yeah, so that's why we haven't been there yet. And we have talked about going to Newfoundland, and it would probably be, we'd probably fly there and then rent a car. But Newfoundland is not hugely populated.
And it's a big province.
It's a big province, and it is quite a distance, as we've already said, from mainland Canada. To start with, I hear the people are absolutely lovely. But I'm afraid we'll get to St. John's, Newfoundland, and it might be a lot like St. John, New Brunswick, or Nova Scotia. No, New Brunswick, yeah. Dead. And what are you going to do there? Because you are kind of trapped. It's not like you can just hop in your car and go someplace else from that. So I don't know.
I mean, there's a lot of wilderness there. If you like a lot of wilderness and a lot of rural areas and stuff like that, then it's appealing. But I'm not sure yet.
Yeah.
We have a lot of East Coast. exposure today or the last couple of weeks, we may go another time. I don't know.
I don't know. The last time we were in the East Coast was 39 years ago, and at that time we were much younger, and so we're young guys. We're looking for nightlife. We're looking for fun. There wasn't any to be had.
I mean, the two places that really stood out that we went to were Halifax and Charlottetown.
Yeah. The rest, not.
St. John, New Brunswick wasn't that exciting. And then the rest of it, we drove a lot. So
yeah, I mean, we saw lots of the countryside. It is beautiful. It's very lush and green where it hasn't been burned down in Nova Scotia, but we weren't in those areas. But yeah, and as I said, the people are very nice in the whole bit. But we're city boys, okay? And yeah, maybe we have our noses up in the air a little bit about that, trying not to be that way. But we're definitely in Ontario, where we live, used to a much faster pace of life. And I'm not saying that's better.
It's just
worse.
what we're
it's
used
just
to.
what we're used to. So that's the lens we come to this at. Just looking here. Hi, Ken no show. Ken no show. I'm never not sure how to say that. Jan, she's got the cat scratch. Of course you do, Jan. I would expect no less from you with your love of cats, and she's going to change the colors though.
Heidi says there's 2 quilt stores in Moncton that she knows of.
Oh, both are across the river from Moncton. The Covered Bridge Quiltery in Riverview and Victory Stitches in Hillsborough. Well, like I said, this person who made that comment never said. So I don't know. I that's all we know. Shelley says Alaska's big too, and contrary to popular belief, it's not in the ocean next to Hawaii. No, yeah, I can see people thinking that without knowing. But you really know something about Alaska that burns me. Alaska's supposed to be ours. But those stupid people in our politics, back whenever it was, ended up letting the Americans have it. Talk about a disjointed state. I mean, they've got a whole country between them and their own country. That's got to be rough. Should have been ours. Should have been. We're going to storm it and take it. First we take Berlin, then we take Alaska. Okay. Dara says, I had an aunt who, when I married and moved to Toronto, asked if it was snowing. It was July. Oh, Dara, the stories I can tell you from when I was a kid and I worked in Canadian Tire, and the Americans used to come up in the summertime with skis strapped to their roof looking for the snow. I used to have to take them outside, point them, say, go directly north about 1,000 miles, whatever, you might find some then. And they looked at me with disbelief. Yeah, I'm not telling you a lie. Okay. And Catherine says she watches CBC here in, is that New Hampshire?
New Hampshire.
New Hampshire? Well, why?
we don't watch it.
We don't watch CBC. I mean, snore. Okay. And Andy says, hey, I'm the crazy lady who tried to see if there was a way to drive to the Hudson Bay. Well,
there is a Hudson Bay.
You can drive to Hudson Bay. Well, okay, are you talking about Hudson Bay the store, or are you talking about Hudson Bay the bay, the water? Because you can drive to Hudson Bay. Yeah, don't know why you would, but you can. Stephanie says many Americans don't even know U.S. geography. I've met people who said Ohio. Is that somewhere in the middle? Yeah, right. And from Port au Basque to East Coast drive over 500 miles.
Port au Basque is
where's that?
That's in Newfoundland.
Oh, that's in Newfoundland. Oh, that's Newfoundland.
Yeah, Port au Basque is the other part that you can land in, which which is 500. That's probably, it's about 800 kilometers from there to St. John. So,
but you said drive over 500 miles. Yeah, how long can you hold your breath?
Well, you cannot drive from the mainland of Canada to Newfoundland.
You have to take
the ferry. You either take the ferry. There's one port that it goes to that is close to St. John, where the populous area is in Newfoundland, and the other one is the Port aux Basques one, which is not as populous. And to get to the populous area, you have to drive 500 miles.
Yeah. I'm not sure, Catherine, what you mean. It's not. It's cosmopolitan. What's cosmopolitan? I've lost the train here, or the thread.
You're thinking of St. John's.
Oh, St. John is cosmopolitan?
Well, I don't know. What do you mean that's cosmopolitan?
Well, I don't know. What's the definition of cosmopolitan?
Well, yeah, I don't know. It's a city.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I've missed the idea.
But
here.
if you're only in St. John's,
St.
yes,
John.
it's
St.
St.
John.
John's
Oh, what, in Newfoundland?
in Newfoundland.
Oh, okay.
It's a big city.
Yeah.
But the rest of Newfoundland isn't.
No.
The rest of Newfoundland is all rural.
Yeah, true. Yeah. And even as a big city, when you compare it to places like Montreal, Vancouver, Toronto, well, it doesn't. It doesn't compare. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. In some ways, it's probably a good thing. But I'm just saying that.
Yeah, the population of St. John's, Newfoundland in 2017 anyway, is 114,000 people.
Where we live in Oshawa, we're almost 170,000 people. And we're not.
And we're outside of Toronto,
Yeah.
which is over 4 million, 3.5 million people.
So, yeah. But small's not necessarily bad. You know, people tend to be a little more friendly there and not try to run you over at a crosswalk. And as we said, let's see, just trying to catch up with the thread. Oh, Catherine says, many Alaskans want to join Canada. Too late. We don't want you. Oh yeah, which Darlene is Keno No Show? Is it our Darlene Monk? Oh, Catherine says it's all we can get here. I guess CBC. That's too bad. Oh, Andy says she's been to the Bay, as in just wanted to say I had been there. Well, we haven't. Don't intend to be going anytime soon either. Newfoundland's pretty happening, Heidi says. Get screeched in, see the Provincial Museum at the Rooms. There's a good dinner theater, Shakespeare by the Sea in the summer months, the regatta at, I'm not sure how to say that, Vidi Lake, whatever. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds, you're making a good case.
Yeah,
for
you're
us
making
to
a
go.
good case, Heidi. Maybe we will go at some point in time. It's the only province we've never been to. Of course, we've never been to the 3 territories either, but there's nothing there. Alexander says, I just looked up the cat quilt. That is too cute. I need to get one. You can order them online. Oh, but if you're American, you can't get it. He apparently does not ship to the United States. I don't know why. But I heard that on, I think that Sean interviewed John, the guy who runs that company. And I think that's what he said. He doesn't ship to the United States. So I no idea why.
Yeah, well, Dara, GTA is part of, it's hard to describe. If you look at just the Toronto area, I think the millions is a little smaller. If you compare Toronto, if you include all the Scarborough and Mississauga and all the other places, it gets bigger. So
Yeah.
it depends on what you're including in that 6.4 million. If you look at the Golden Horseshoe, I think it's a lot more. I think it's like 11 or 12 million or
Yeah.
more, something like that.
The major concentration of Canadian population is where we live. You know, because we have vast areas that have next to nobody in them, that kind of thing. Canada is still pretty primitive in some ways, as far as civilized, like where things are settled. Dara says apparently the GTA is now 6.4 million now.
Mm-hmm. It depends on what you're including.
Yeah.
She's saying the Greater Toronto area.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's not it's a Toronto.
It changes all the time. It depends on who they're including in their count, because all the cities and towns where we live are pretty much like right
so
next to
if
each
you
other.
look at the population of the city of Toronto itself, In 2017, it's 2.93 million. But if you look at, if you say the Golden Horseshoe,
Okay, well, I'm pretty sure, Cheryl, that John said he didn't ship to the States. So, but if you got one, then he must do that. I think it would be very strange that he didn't ship to the United States. I mean, he's a business. Um, Derek says, geez, the GTA has a greater population than the entirety of Scotland's population. Let's see.
well, yeah, it's like 7.8 million for the Great Golden Horseshoe
Yeah.
in here.
And Nancy's Canada's so beautiful. I know nothing about it. Walter's so knowledgeable. Yeah, well, he spends his life on the internet reading these things. Yeah, so yeah, that's the way Canada is. It is a beautiful country, and it's very diverse in its beauty when you go from coast to coast as well. But just be warned, once you get out of the Greater Toronto area, then you have the real Canada. And the real Canada is basically made up of a whole lot of little small communities. Those are the real people. The people that live where we live, well, it's hard to describe, but probably a bit snotty. Yeah. Oh, Steffi says, I know he doesn't ship the appliques because that's why I picked up the Puffin for Shannon. Oh, okay, maybe that's what what Sean was talking about. Yeah, that would make some sense. But why wouldn't he ship the appliques? I don't get it. I don't understand his business model, but whatever. Okay, so speaking of comments, I want to just quickly go down and pick out a few of the comments that people made while they were watching our videos. And I'll try to put them in context. I'm just finding, okay. Goes to Charlottetown. And my dates. There were a lot of comments people had throughout, which were great to see. Here we go. Okay, so a lot of people did mention that, especially Canadians, that certain things that we were experiencing brought back memories. Jan says it was nice to see Colleen. Love her stories and factoid tidbits. Yeah, we did too. Colleen is extremely knowledgeable about all things Charlottetown and maybe about a lot of other things too. It was interesting to listen to all the different things she could tell us about it. Just seeing whatever stands out here. Oh yeah, okay. I can't help but think, Lucy B said, Lucy 7B, of Anna Green Gables series of books. I enjoyed it as a child. Yeah, if you saw the video we did about that, someone did ask why didn't we stop to go into the Anna Green Gables house. Well, we were forewarned by Colleen about this. She said they have Disney-fied it. We did go by it, and yes,
Well, yeah, way back when in 1985 when we were in the East Coast last time, we went by the Anna Green Gables house then, and it was just a house sitting in the middle of nowhere. And we saw it from the outside. We didn't go in or anything like that. And but now it's all covered with the museums and all kinds of other stuff that's there.
Yeah. So yeah, we didn't go there, and
considering it's not really a real house,
that's the one thing. It's fiction. It's fiction. The house had never existed and never existed. But I think that people are so in love with it that they think that it's almost biographical or something or whatever. But it's not. It's fiction with it all. So obviously they're capitalizing.
And actually,
on
they're
that.
really capitalizing because I saw a poster for it and just to go visit the house. So this is a fictional house, and they have it furnished with furniture that is not real. Obviously, it's based on whatever.
Well, it's real, but it's not like they've pulled it from other
Yeah.
sources. It's not like
So the tour of the house, a house, and the tour of the house was $33 per person.
mm,
And then there was this thing where you could sit down with an actress or something like that that plays the part of Anne or something and have a cordial with her.
yeah.
And that's $44.
Yeah, really. So that's, that's just like going to Disneyland and having breakfast with Mickey or something like that.
Breakfast with
The characters. So yeah, it's definitely, and very close to where the house is, there's an amusement park as well.
Yeah, and there's like all kinds of museums. That's the Anna Green Gables Museum.
Yeah, or Lucy
And,
Maud Montgomery's birthplace and
Place, or-
stuff like
yeah.
that, because that's the author of the book series as well. On a different topic, one person said, I have met the not so friendly in both Quebec and France. If you have never been to Quebec, especially Quebec City, okay, it's very much like it has a European feel to it, the old city, which is kind of interesting. But Quebecois, they're different from other Canadians. They're special.
Well, actually, driving in Quebec's a little different because they do their stoplights all completely different. They can be very annoying.
Quebec can feel more like a foreign country than part of Canada in some ways. And that has a lot to do with the history of why Quebec is the only French-speaking province in Canada, but why we have a bilingual language. We have two official languages, English and French, kind of a thing. And it all has to do with, and I'm not going to get into it, but it all has to do with, the French came first into Quebec. They got conquered by the British. The British didn't have the manpower or whatever to really take over from the French. So they kind of said, okay, you guys carry on with your culture and your religion and stuff like that, as long as you recognize the fact that we are your rulers, kind of a thing. And that is why today Quebec is a special province in Canada. And yes, the people are very much like the people in France. The French tend to be colder, and as I like to say, they poo-poo things quite a bit. If it's not French, it's not much. Okay, kind of a deal. Different attitude with that. I'm just looking here to see what else. Diane says, I feel like I should be paying a cover charge for these vlogs. Most fun I've had since retreat. Okay, Diane, just send me, I'll give you my address and you can send us, let's start it at, say, a couple hundred a video. Yeah, right. No. Jan says that's what she made a comment. She says that's why she likes the West better, slower pace in Ontario. Oh, yeah. Ontario's go, go, go. Oh, yes, the Cavendish family, okay? You probably heard me on one of the videos talk about Cavendish Farms. They're big potato growers, and in Canada, most people know who Cavendish Farms are because they have a line of frozen French fries. However, we found out from Colleen that that's all they make. And they're also owned by a bigger corporation that owns most of the of Atlantic Canada called Irving family, and they own their big oil family.
But they have a lot of other things. We went by a wood processing plant that was owned by Irving as well.
Yeah, we didn't know they were into wood as well. Heidi says she'll eat all the oysters that I won't have. Yeah, you can have them, believe me.
Yeah, she said her first oysters at Malpic or whatever that we saw.
Yeah, Malpic. And I was mispronouncing it, but Colleen told me how to say it. Oh yeah, somebody only buys Chapman's ice cream. Well, pretty much that's what we buy too. But we had to have cows.
It was very good.
It was good. We had it several times actually.
They had lots of different flavors.
Yeah, Sean recommended it highly. He loves it, and it's manufactured there. In fact, Prince Edward Island is their main manufacturing facility with that. So yeah, it's good. Another person said she grew up in Newfoundland and lived in Halifax area for a year in 2010. One day they hope to retire to the East Coast. A lot of people that come from the East Coast that have moved to Ontario and lived here for years and years often do that. They retire and they move back home, basically, with it. There's a real pull, I think, on people who were born in the East Coast.
Yeah.
Did you find fox plots? It goes with the dog lawn theme. Nope, we didn't, but we weren't really looking for them, Colleen. I'm just going through. Jan says Chapman's is made with real milk and it's from Canadian cows. Chapman's had a fire a few years back. That's why they don't have the flavors they used to. And they had interesting flavors, interesting names more than anything for the ice cream at Cows as well. They put puns in there like lemon, lime.
Yeah.
And what was the one you had? That mukioka?
I had mukiata. I had caramel mukiata ice cream.
It's fun.
Yeah.
What else pops up out here? A lot of people saying thank you for the videos and things like that. Well, I'm glad people really enjoyed that. Quilting Bee and More, they won a contest and they were sent all these pre-made by Annie bags and patterns and everything for them. So, and they're doing workshops with them. And I love bags by Annie or by Annie bags. They're great. And the instructions are always really easy to follow. And they look very complicated, but they really aren't. Yeah, the Potato Museum. We almost went.
Almost went. It was, but from Summerside, it was a 50-minute drive one way, and they were going to close soon. So,
yeah, and someone said Summerside looks sleepy but clean. I love clean towns. I guess that's because my town isn't as clean as I wished it was. Yeah, but boy, it was boring. We ate in the restaurant. That was on the video. That was attached to the hotel because they really rolled up the streets that night.
Yeah, there were a couple of other restaurants that were nearby, but one didn't have a good review, and the other one was didn't have very many good reviews, and the other one had really good reviews, but it hadn't opened for the season yet.
Yeah, and so it was funny because the person waiting on the tables, there was only one. It's not a huge restaurant. And she comes over and she says, okay, we have a special tonight. You knew the way she was saying it. Wondered, well, what is it? She says, it's soup and a sandwich. She says, I know, for dinner. But the chef, that's what he's decided on. And actually we had it. And it was good.
It was good. It was good price.
Yeah.
And it was more than just a sandwich. It was actually pretty substantial. And yeah, the only thing was in that restaurant, and we found that in a couple other places in the East Coast, is bench seating in the restaurant was like really straight up.
They really help
like,
you keep
you
your posture.
Lean or anything. And the table was really close
like
to
the table's
you, so.
Pushed up to here on you, and you're sitting up straight, rigid. So.
And that wasn't the only place. There were several other places that we went to that the bench seating was almost uncomfortable to sit in.
Yeah, I think they all got it from the same place. I don't know. Oh, yes, beaver tails. Stephanie mentioned the beaver tails when we showed those. Yeah, I think in the States, you might know them by elephant ears. I think they might be a similar thing. They're basically fried dough, and they will put like cinnamon and apples.
Yeah, I had the classic, which is butter, cinnamon, and brown sugar.
Yeah, and I had the Bananarama, which was Nutella and sliced bananas on it. And yes, are they good for you? No. Well, mine did have fruit, but they are quite delicious.
And we did stop at Grand Falls. Somebody had suggested, Steve says, somebody was suggested that we stop at Grand Falls. And I was looking on the map and I thought, well, that's a really good spot because we're going to need gas. And we're going to need gas, and that might be a good stop. And it was right on near the highway from where we were going. So,
Yeah,
and it was kind of
it was
nice
worth
to
the
see
stop.
see this.
And you
See the
saw it all
falls.
on the video as well. For it was very pretty. We weren't there very long because we got gas, took pictures, left. So that was about it. Um, Colleen says, thanks for the lesson on the journeyman linemen and their work. I wasn't going to, we were stopped for this construction. There were a couple of linemen up a pole. They were stringing a line. And, you know, as a kid, my father, that's what my father did for a living. So I kind of knew what they were doing up there
Yeah.
as well. But
And then I said to Steve, why don't you take a picture of that? Because that's different.
so I kind of explained it in the video what they were doing, and I was surprised that people were actually interested in that. Yeah, and there was some people who thought, you know, why not take the ferry to Charlottetown instead of the bridge? And we said that the bridge, I think we originally said the bridge was $40.
That's what I thought it was.
But it's actually $50. $50.25 Canadian.
Yeah, weird amount. But anyway,
both ways. So in total, so $25.
yeah. See, what happens is that when you drive onto the PEI island, you don't have to pay for the toll. They just get you when you leave.
Yeah. And the ferry was a lot more money if you wanted that.
Yeah, I know the ferry would have worked out. I can't remember if I said $130 or $160 or something, but that was the return trip one. But you would have had to book it in advance to get onto the ferry, and you would have to. So you'd have to be there at a particular time and everything else, and yeah, it might be a little bit more scenic and stuff like that. And then I imagine it would take an hour, more than an hour or so to take the ferry across from one side to the other. Whereas the bridge is handy, you just drive across it.
Yeah. Heidi also in a comment to one of the videos said, oh no, St. John is quite hilly and rocky. That's why many older streets do not meet at right angles. King Street is the shortest and steepest main street in Canada. I believe it. There are shorter and steeper side streets, notably in St. John's, Newfoundland, Labrador. Yeah, and we found Halifax is very hilly too, because it's built into the side of a house down to that. It's like Walter's trying to kill me. He dragged me up hills out in the West Coast, and he dragged me up more hills in the East Coast. Yeah, okay.
And there were hills, a lot of hills in Quebec City as
yeah,
well.
I don't know how people in wheelchairs manage it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Barb Olson said, Stephen, I respect your honesty. It doesn't matter where you go. Tourist dollars are important, but the area has to offer something for the tourists. Sounds like St. John lacks the attraction. Someone I knew moved herself and her husband from Calgary to St. John. Neither one had a job to go to. Now that I've seen it through your videos, not sure what the hoopla is all about. Have a safe trip back home. Well, yeah, the Atlantic provinces depend on tourist trade for a lot of their economy. St. John had a lot of things closed down, and there was a lot of construction that looked kind of like it wasn't being really too active. I don't know, maybe it was just the days we were there or whatever we saw. But really what pisses me off is our government. You know, the Atlantic coast has never been known, the provinces there, as being a rich part of Canada. Mainly because they don't have the population. You know, they depend primarily on tourism trade. They do have some industries and things like that. But our government would rather sink all the money into foreign countries, like helping out the Ukrainians. And I'm not saying we shouldn't help them, but we have people in our own country that need help too. And I don't believe that our government is proportionately distributing our tax dollars in a way that's fair to our own Canadian people. And that pisses me off with it. And definitely I think the Atlantic provinces could use a great influx of money from the government to help, you know, boost up their infrastructure and things like that there. And, you know, maybe more people would come too if there was money put into that. Yeah, the city market, Julie M said, two things I liked about St. John were the city market, very charming, and we have nothing like that where I live, and the container city, again, nothing like that where I live. Both of those spots are tourist spots. They're trying to attract people, especially for cruise ships. Because you said, like...
Yeah, actually, St. John has a cruise ship terminal, so if people get off the boat, they're going to have to do something. And I don't know how active that cruise ship terminal is. So
Yeah. So I was probably a little bit hard on St. John, and I warned people that I was going to be a little bit negative and sarcastic in that video. I put in a little thing at the beginning saying that.
yeah, actually, Teresa's right. We were a little early for tourist season.
Yeah, we did discover that with it. So maybe if we'd gone in July or something like that, we might have a little different opinion. I don't know.
If in some cases, what was nice is that it was quiet. So
Yeah, yeah, it was. It was peaceful, and no one ran you over on the street.
yeah,
I guess you stand out there and they'd
I
stop
think
for you.
we're getting our close to our time.
Yeah, I know we are. Pushy, pushy. I was just trying to get through these just to see if there was anything else here of interest. Yeah, well, that pretty much takes me to the end of the comments there. So,
There was a zip line over Grand Falls or whatever.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
that would have been
I would have done
spectacular.
that. Actually,
You would have?
Yeah, remember I zip lined in Puerto Rico?
Oh yeah, you did, but you were like,
I was
dropping a
really
load.
paranoid about it first, and even though I have a problem with heights, I might have done it there. Because of course, if you drop off, you'd hit the rocks.
Oh yeah,
you're
you
done
would not
for.
be coming back up. No. Um, yeah. Well, I'm sure, Cheryl, that if you decide to rebook that or whatever, you'll have a good time. You'll
Yeah.
enjoy it. I mean, we did not hate it. Okay. Maybe sometimes I gave maybe a wrong impression that we weren't enjoying the trip. No, we did enjoy the trip. So yeah. But anyways, that's about us for today. We've actually gone a little over time. Thanks for joining us and hearing us rehash our trip and everything like that. And see some of you on Wednesday for So with Stephanie and Steven. And I hope to see many of you next Saturday for the pop-up sew day. Links are in the show notes and more. And if you want to see the fabric haul, tune into the Idiot Quilter on Tuesday when it comes out, because I'm going to go through it all. And on So Chatty, the end of the week, we're going to Will It Sew? The Singer sewing machine that Colleen graciously gave it to us. I'll give you a hint. It does. And it's a beautiful machine. So we're going to be talking about that and working with that on So Chatty. Okay. So everybody, have a great week. And we'll see you for next week, if not sooner. Bye for now.
Bye for now.